Hello, welcome back to the Prestige TV podcast feed. I'm Joanna Robinson.
I'm Rob Mahoney.
We are live to cover the Widow's Bay finale. It ended mere moments ago on the Apple platform.
Yeah, linear TV-ish.
Yeah, ish. I don't know how appointment television watching Widow's Bay is. The Apple release, I think people tend to watch sort of here, there, and everywhere. I think a lot of people were like, isn't this a Wednesday show? It's a Tuesday night show, folks.
Here's the thing. If anything was going to establish that level of instant credibility, we have to be on top of it. It does seem like Widow's Bay has people frothing, you know?
Kind of appointment television. So episode 10, we hope you enjoyed your time. Directed by Hiro Murai, written by Katie Dippold. Yeah. So like the all-star team is here. That's incredible. I also think that duo is going to be on the watch this week. That's what I heard.
Oh, that's thrilling.
Yeah, I know. Very exciting. Here's what we're going to do. Usually we start with a mailbag. There's too much to talk about. We're not going to start. We have some emails. We'll get to them. But I want to start. Well, I guess first and foremost, did you like this episode of television, Rob Mahoney?
I adored this episode.
Tell me why.
I really loved it. I mean, to me, it's less about the big mystery stuff. We talked about that some last week. Turns out there's another secret warrant. Great.
And more the friends we made along the way.
It's less even the friends we made along the way than the friends we may or may not be deciding to kill along the way. And the way that we have this mystery reveal, and then we're just kind of dancing around it with a big philosophical conversation that only one member of the conversation even knows that they're having.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that, from the start, I was excited that Kay Callan was in this cast who plays Ruth, because I know her from the Superman show from the 90s, but also she was in Knives Out. And she's just like, she's a real like stealth star. And she's really the star of this episode.
Steals it.
Absolutely. Though, of course, Matthew Rhys, incredible in this episode. And the way that Matthew Rhys, inside of this little horror comedy conspiracy show, the drama, I felt like I was watching The Americans for a second with his conflict, the way his brow is wrinkled as he's just sitting there marinating in the grief and guilt over what he felt like he had to do to Ruth. I thought that was it's a funny episode, as is all Widow's Bay. It's a tense episode, but I just think it's a very well acted drama moment
very much
for Tom.
There's so many individual moments that I want to spotlight within this episode, but the moment where I knew they had this finale dialed in, not a surprise given the way the season has gone, but I was like, okay, I feel like I'm in especially good hands to close out this story in the way that is going to be satisfying to me personally, is when Tom shows up and Ruth, after he kind of catches her by surprise on the treadmill where she's, just doing a casual 2 miles, no big. And she gives him the I thought you forgot about me. And the brief pause as Matthew Rhys goes full Americans, the inner torment of Tom before he lets out the never.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, we are cooking with something. We are in a register that I think this is just really going to hit.
Speaking of which, I can't remember if we've talked about this already, but there's been a bit of a sort of resurgence on the Americans as people are discovering what Matthew Rhys can do. I feel a lot of people.
Renaissance?
Okay. A Renaissance?
Yeah.
Maybe. That sounds like it's about Reese Witherspoon.
That's
and
true.
It's not. Oh, Matthew Rhys is on.
Yeah. Have you heard of him?
I get it. We're live. Okay. We are drinking sunset cocktails.
As one does.
As configured by our producers, our wonderful producers. Okay. Here's the first question that I want to talk about. How the message got lost. This is a question that you've been asking all season, is who knows what?
Yeah.
You're like, there have to be people around who know what this means, and we hear from Ruth, and we'll get to it, a litany of strange and unusual things that have happened to her family. But here's what I pieced together from the context clues that we got in this episode. So Ruth mentions Mayor Howard the Coward, and she says, surprised when he left. I was surprised when he left, but people get scared, right? So if there was a process of passing the message down one mayor to another, and we got an email about this, that we haven't heard anything about Tom's predecessor. If Howard the Coward, I don't know if he was named as Tom's direct predecessor, just someone that Ruth worked for.
I think there probably would have been a gap just based on the timing.
Yeah. But if he left and didn't, perhaps he found out what he had to do and he just got the fuck out of there rather than do it, and didn't pass that information down to the next person. That's one way the message could have gotten lost. Rosemary's predecessor saying, don't go down there into the basement. So Rosemary's predecessor knew, as recently as that.
Yeah.
But didn't tell Rosemary why not to.
Even her predecessor might not have known exactly. It's just one of these things that becomes an urban legend. You don't go into that place.
And then I was thinking about Reverend Bryce's predecessor, right? The note that Reverend Bryce found to the rector of the church, I pray that this burden will never fall to you, but should the bell toll, these are the steps you must take. On the north side of the rectory, there is a chamber where you will find ...
Yeah.
Reverend Bryce, instead of taking on that job, killed himself.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, how does something this big, this mass conspiracy, this social contract of the island get lost? And it's just sort of like one by one, the message did not get passed down to the person who took it. That's sort of my assessment of what's going on. Do you agree?
Well, and what's even happening within, I do concur, especially that kind of chain of command, right? It's not as simple as mayor to mayor to mayor to mayor, because whether they were cowardly, whether they drew a line in the sand morally, whether they just refused to believe that any of this supernatural stuff was real, even as people were getting bitten by animals and turning into those animals, every mayor is able to draw the lines for themselves. And that's where, pastors, priests, citizens of the town, other people might have gotten involved at various points to keep the chain going, to keep the island surviving to whatever extent it has.
Well, there was a council, that was formed, which we saw in the flashback episode, and then in the reel-to-reel that Dale watches, there is like a council mentioned, right? Yeah. So there was a council, like, who was on it and how did it dwindle and how did that message get lost? Let's talk about the rules as we understand them. Every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings, and also every time the bell rings, the island is demanding a soul because it's hungry. You mentioned this, like that the bell was a dinner bell, right, for the island, feed the island.
Right.
In the flashback, we heard 5 bells toll on the night of Sarah's wedding night in the flashback. And so that's when the mayor knows, I gotta go. Richard Warren's like, I gotta go kill some people, right? 9 bell tolls earlier this season. One guy gets fed to the hatch. Now it's 8. And then there were 8. So the island's still hungry, still demands 8 souls.
Well, this is an amuse-bouche. We're just whetting the appetite.
Appetites, yeah.
I mean, do you think the island is growing? From Richard Warren's time to now, is it just going to get to be more and more and more every single time?
Well, we did get an email of someone noting, when I went through the timeline the other day of sort of the things that have happened on the island, they were like, you'll note that there's sort of like a mass casualty event
every so often.
And so what's the chicken and the egg, right? Like, is it the storm is created because the island is hungry and angry?
Yes.
Or, and that creates the crash or a shipwreck or cannibalism or whatever the case may be. And then the island is sated because it has been fed those souls.
Yeah.
But if they're eating each other, then they're not feeding the hatch. So I don't know if that counts.
Well, this is the trolley problem within the trolley problem, right? If you're
all the way down.
if you're creating a council to, as far as we understand from the reels, democratically vote who you want to feed to the island.
Who's bad?
Who are the bad guys?
Yeah.
Who can we live without?
Yeah.
I mean, Joe, if we had to do this at the Ringer,
Oh.
if we had to democratically vote someone to sacrifice to our metaphorical island here at the studio, do you have any nominees? Is there anyone you're willing to give up?
In order to preserve my relationship with everyone, I will throw myself into the match.
I don't believe that for a second.
And your answer is, I simply wouldn't vote.
I also would vote for you.
No, but really, who should we put into the hatch?
I don't know. Well, we obviously can't throw like Kai or Dev or Jacob into the hatch.
No, not
Too
our team.
instrumental
not
to
our
our
team.
show.
No. We're the council.
Yeah,
we're safe.
I mean, wouldn't Chris Ryan want to do what's best for us?
Speaking of Chris's, do you think Chris is gonna go like shitty Chris on Widow's Bay is gonna go into the hatch next season?
He sucks.
She's the worst.
I thought you were talking about. I thought the guy not also named Chris who is fussy about the MREs.
Oh, that guy struck me as an off-island douche.
Oh, he's an off-island douche. I mean, you can't trust anyone off
the
island.
By his like the newness of his fleece, he seems like an off-island douchebag.
You don't think they're getting new fresh fleece?
They don't even have cell phones.
I don't think there's not a North Face on here.
No.
It's tough.
You didn't want to shout out LL Bean again. You're going to North Face, okay? So there's a council of some kind, or once upon a time, in at least the 50s or 60s, which is by that guy's short sleeve collared shirt and tie. That's when that reel to reel. A council of some kind votes on who to send into the pit. The bad times will not end until the covenant is honored and honored fully. 1 soul for each bell toll. Their fear is necessary. They say it likes the taste.
I don't like that.
Who's it communing to that it expresses its desire for the taste of fear?
Well, clearly Richard Warren was in Congress with the beast.
So you think
Tom has been.
You think other people are mushrooming and sort of intoning into the darkness?
I don't know how many people are even allowed, right, to summon, to be a part of those particular conversations. These are senior staff only, upper level management.
Something that we should note is that when Evan, who, by the way, for the slanderers of Evan was the only teen who did not run away and like abandon what was happening in that hatch. He tried to get that door open as best he could or whatever.
Not his fault.
The door unlocked itself, right?
Yeah.
Or the entity unlocked it. I don't know which is worse. And then the hatch doors are slightly ajar. Were they always ajar?
I don't think they were always ajar.
No.
And the trails of blood and the lit flashlight.
Oh, well, yeah.
We
know
without
where
saying.
it went, but I'm just saying the fact that the door is still open bothers me. Like, the entity wasn't like, I'm all full until the next 8 and close the door. Is like the door is still ajar.
As someone who has been at this office basically from sun up until now, has it occurred to you that these doors might not unlock until it's done with you?
Why are you outing the fact that I have been here all day?
You work hard, and I want the people to appreciate it.
All right, let's talk about Ruth and Tom and the trolley problem. Something I noted when we were asking sort of who the Warren descendant, and by the way, thank you for your 1 million emails being like, hey, dum-dums.
Yeah.
It's probably still Evan.
It's obviously Evan.
You guys are so dumb.
We are quite credulous sometimes. I don't know what to tell you.
Why'd you just think it's Ruth? It's also Evan. Okay, so it is Evan. Or is it? Yeah, it is. Okay. But Tom, as I noted when we were discussing Evan as a possibility earlier this season, in every single episode, Tom asks some version of, is Evan okay? Right? And he does so again in this episode. Tells Patricia to look after Evan. Over the walkie is asking if Evan is okay. So I just really liked, not only establishing Tom's genuine care for him, but just sort of like the question of the show is Evan okay? Like, is he going to be okay with this? Tom has this information now,
yes.
So.
And going into season 2, where I think I had always been, for some reason, thinking about the finale, if it was going to be Evan, that it was going to be Tom who was left with this choice potentially of what do I do, right? Like, would he even be willing to sacrifice his son? Obviously not, for the sake of the island. And where does that drive story? Where does that drive drama? If he's not going to be willing to give up his son, where's the conflict?
You got to find 8 people to feed into the hatch.
You got to find a bunch of people. And now I think we have this great tension going into season 2 where Bechir knows that somebody is a secret Warren, but doesn't know who. Yeah. And Tom is protecting Evan, clearly, but also needs to get his own Richard Warren on and be smuggling some bodies down into the cellar if he wants to keep Evan out of trouble.
Is that what the future seasons are? Is it this sort of Little Shop of Horrors feed me thing where he's going to have to feed randos to, that's a musicals reference.
I understand. You know well that I'm familiar with Little Shop of Horrors. How dare you? I've never been condescended to more than during the middle of this episode when we were rewatching it together, and you're like, that's Phantom of the Opera.
I don't know, Rob.
How dare
You're
you?
You're anti-musical, and you're like, I know, Joanna, but listen,
Look,
there's a lot you don't know.
You can tell me when it's a Jellicle Ball reference and that I'm not getting. Please do.
Yeah.
But come on, Phantom of the Opera.
Okay.
Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah. All right. We'll get the list of all the musicals you know later.
The approved materials.
But yeah, we'll wrap this up with who knows what and what that means going, because what I like about this episode is a bunch of different people get little pieces of the puzzle, but no one has the full puzzle. So Ruth and Tom, the medical chart, Ruth's medical chart, you and I both laughed. How did you feel about that?
Just her thyroid levels. Wow.
I want that on my chart.
We can all be so lucky.
I do have for some reason incredibly good blood pressure, and every time I think doctors expect I won't have good blood pressure, and they take my blood pressure and they're like, you have the blood pressure of a teenager. I'm like, thank you. I know. There's so many other things wrong with me, but I do have that.
It's nice to prove people wrong sometimes,
Oxycodone and diazepam.
Yeah.
I just don't think a person should be on those two things, even if they have a note that says don't take them together.
I did Google this. You should, in fact, not take them together. Seems like a bad idea.
I did not have, the narc in me knew that you did not have to, I did not have to Google that. Have you ever snooped through someone's medicine cabinet?
No.
Okay.
I've never really seen the appeal. What am I gonna see in there? Hemorrhoid cream? What's the great secret?
What are people ashamed
SSRIs?
of?
It's cool, man.
Yeah, we're pro mental health. You need those. If you need that Wellbutrin, you take that Wellbutrin. the rain slicker, like Tom standing outside her house in the pouring rain in the rain slicker, very. I know what you did last summer. Very serial killer.
Oh yeah, and he's so cold, like emotionally, in those moments when he's first getting to the house.
Because he's trying to like
Steal himself
to do this.
I love structurally how Tom spends the vast majority of this episode like trying to talk himself into and excuse himself.
Not only that, get Ruth to tell him it's the right thing to do.
He wants her to forgive him before he even does it.
Yeah.
He spends most of the episode doing that, and then just like the last flickering instance trying to find every reason to save her. And it's like that's just like a great way to set up a finale like this.
I really agree. What do you think Ruth listens to on her treadmill? Is she a podcast girly?
She is definitely not a podcast girl.
Okay.
Does she know about podcasts?
So it's like big band, doo-wop,
polka.
polka.
Yeah. I mean, I'm Czech. Maybe I'm just inclined to think that old ladies listen to polka, but that's where I come from.
I don't think older women, if you were listening to this podcast, what do you listen to on your treadmill?
I think the BPMs are good for polka, to be honest with you. I think it could really get the heart going.
Yeah, you're right. The jaunty brass.
That's all you really need.
Okay. Herb garden situation. Here's the deal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. First of all, I have a small herb garden.
As do
going.
I.
Yeah. That herb garden's gone in that storm. It's not surviving that storm.
Depends on what plants. Basil, you couldn't flamethrower that thing.
Secondly, the chamomile and lavender tisane that she makes, like, there's no way you can smuggle pills into that thing. Not only is it gritty, they would be bitter.
Yeah.
Would they not be? And like a lavender chamomile, if it's like a sturdy cup of Earl Grey, like a bitter cup of Earl Grey, like you could, that's, folks, if you're listening at home, that's the tea to drug. That's what you do. But like an
Don't tell people that.
an herbal tisane, like you can't smuggle it in under those light floral flavors. You can't do it.
Well, especially the greater context of this entire sequence when Tom first gets to the house is like showing all the ways in which Ruth is living a rich and full life. This is not the kind of like she knows inside and out the taste of every herb that's in that tea. Like she would know if anything is off, much less texture, much less bitterness. Like this is not the woman you can pull a fast one on, despite everything we were kind of told earlier in the season.
All season we were like, this is an elderly lady who's got nothing. But she's like, she's tired in the middle of the day. She needs a nap. But when she's alert, I get alert at night.
Well, she's tired in the middle of the day because she also needs the excuse to go help her other elderly friend up and down her porch steps. Deirdre, shout out to Deirdre, a real one.
I'm gonna come back to that.
I mean, of all the things I love and admire about this episode, one of them is we don't get here to this particular end game if Tom cared about Ruth enough to actually show up to her house earlier in the season.
Right, if he would
actually know about her life. He probably would have known the reveal 4 episodes ago if he had actually been helping her to work.
Yeah, she might have told him about Lauren, possibly.
And so Tom is out here doing a bunch of things he says are for the good of Widow's Bay. And Ruth is out here living for the good of Widow's Bay. Like, she's the one who wants to be a part of a community, who wants to help other people. Like, she is a genuinely good person who is offering hands to everyone around her. She's the one who will take in Evan, in part because it's her grandson, but...
On the one hand, yes. On the other hand, when she gets good and doped up and starts telling her story, like, that's not necessarily, like, a good person's story.
Well, she's lived a life.
She's made some choices.
She's made some choices. And she's rectifying with those choices in a way that Tom, it takes him way too long to do the very same.
Her cross-stitch quote, a Tennessee Williams quote, "The world is violent and mercurial. It will have its way with you. We are saved only by love for each other, and the love that we pour into the art we feel compelled to share. Being a parent, being a writer, being a painter, being a friend, we live in a perpetually burning building, and what we must say from it all the time is love." Shout out Tennessee Williams. Really impressed with her dexterity and eyesight that she was able to cross-stitch that entire massive quote into tiny letters onto her cross-stitch.
Well, she couldn't read her own stitch handwriting by the end of it, but...
Listen, it's tough. But, like, the philosophy that pours out of Ruth in this sequence...
Incredible.
When she talks about, like, the trolley is life and I'm the lever. Like, all of that is just... really good stuff. Really well performed.
I just think this whole conversation and that debate, like, this is an action set piece. You know, like, this is high drama. And it is, like, when I think about what I want out of a finale, yeah, you want Bechir coming in with the gun. You want some kind of monstery element here on Widow's Bay. But, like, I want people having these kinds of conversations and really reckoning with what it means to live in a place like this and what you're willing to excuse. And with all due respect to Patricia, who I won't say a bad word about, she hasn't really had time to articulate her perspective on not killing Ruth, other than it's a bad thing to kill a person.
Right.
What Ruth is saying here is it's not just bad to kill a person, but the act of choosing to kill a person for this reason is the choice you never come back from. And I am not willing to do that. Like, I am willing to live in a chaotic world. I am willing to try to bring love into it however I can at the end of the day, Tennessee Williams style, but it simply wouldn't be me.
Can we put Tennessee Williams style on the quote card for this week? I think that, and what I love about the way that this finale works out, because she's not dead despite being shot in the head.
I think we need to talk about that. Yeah.
But she's not dead. And so, first of all, Bechir, of course, is the one who pulled the trigger. So Tom has plausible deniability there. But like,
it's at least partly his fault.
Oh, it's definitely partly his fault. But he hasn't really fully pulled that lever yet. But that decision is that trolley problem is still, there's just 8 more people on the trolley than he understood there to be. But he's still got to decide whether or not to pull that lever, or can he like weasel his way around it and figure out how to make other people pull the lever for him or something like that.
It's true. I mean, I think it's such an interesting refraction of the stuff we get from Wick and Tom earlier in the season about how he's a coward, right? Yeah. Him being a coward kind of stops him, or at least gives him, after poisoning Ruth, the moment of clarity to want to go save her. Yeah. Like, I think those things are folded into each other. But it also does just leave open the window for Bechir to come in and do something dangerous and violent and impulsive. But he's also doing that thing for the same reason that Tom has been doing so many things we learn over the course of this season. Like when Ruth is unconscious because he drugged her and he's kind of giving her his last confession before what he assumes will be her death, what he says is that like his wife warned him about all of this. And then when she had her stroke, it basically confirmed for him that the curse of Widow's Bay is real, that all of the supernatural shit is real and dangerous. And he knew that. And the father in him wanted Evan to have as rich a full life as he could and wanted to bring other stuff to Widow's Bay. And the mayor in him, who should have known that's a terrible fucking idea, invited it all in anyway.
Here's what I think is really interesting. A question we've been you and I have been sort of debating all season is sort of like, what did Tom know? When did he know it? What does he believe in? And the answer was more complicated than either of us were sort of drilling down on, because you were like, well, surely he knew because he didn't take Evan off island. And it's like, he knew on some level. Yeah. He was in deep denial about it. But what I love about this is like, it's very final season of Breaking Bad. Like, I did it because I liked it. When he says, I wanted more for him. Yes. And then he says, and myself. Like, he is looking at himself in the mirror here. And he's just sort of like, let me be really honest. Again, Matthew Rhys delivering that whole speech of like, I laughed it off. I teased her about it. I don't understand why I didn't just listen. And this is sort of like a larger theme of the season. I have this like working theory in terms of like, how did the message get lost? Mm-hmm. I don't know if this is overreaching, but there's this idea of like, do we listen to our elders? Like, do we listen to people? And it's just like, people have been telling us all season about what's going on. And Ruth rattles off like, all of these strange,
my dad got taken by a monster in the lake.
Yeah. My Aunt Betty just stopped talking. You know what I mean? We tried to build a trolley and all the workers disappeared. Yeah. But like, what Rosemary knows, like all the old timers in the bar who were like goading Tom into going into the hotel, right, for the night. And then the old timer that they literally shut the door on in last week's episode. But like, if you listened to these old people, perhaps we would have more pieces of the puzzle than we have at this point,
It's just everyone who's a little bit younger feels like they have all the answers or all the resources or are like agile to the modern world in a way that acclimates them better to solve these contemporary problems, when these contemporary problems have been going on for hundreds of years because they are, surprise, mythical and demonic in nature.
So is there anything you want to say about Bechir? This is not really a Patricia and Wick episode, which is fine because they've had their time in the sun. Not, Rosemary is also here and great as always, but she's had her time to shine. Bechir and Shell. I like Bashir's desperation. I like that we don't even have to see Patricia explain to him what's going on. We just like, he's trying to get to the bottom of the case and then he shows up, like I thought all of that was done really, really well.
I thought his inclusion in this episode is perfect for the character he's been and what he's been going through all season. And we've been laughing at his exasperation and just like the reactions in those moments are really great for comedy. But when you really zoom out, he's a character who, despite the fact that he is in charge of the law enforcement on the island, has been given no information, or at least like 2 steps behind.
I know. Where did that information get lost?
Right. Like
in the law enforcement.
Tom always knows more. Lately, Patricia and Wick have known a lot more than Bechir.
Yeah.
And so the fact that he is constantly playing catch up as far as what they know is what makes him so desperate in this moment, where for him, like the clock is ticking, right? Like he is acting in a way where his child's life will be decided by what happens in the next couple hours. That's his understanding.
Yeah. Shell is literally in labor.
Right. Based on the information he has. And he has less than Tom to process it. And he has less than Patricia and Wick to process it. And so it's another case where if he had just been looped in earlier, he might be making different decisions in a moment like this. Or it might be a collaborative conversation between the 4 of them in a moment like this.
Well, that's like, something I've been thinking about a lot because we've been covering these Batman movies on House of R, these Christopher Nolan examination of a society and a city.
Yeah.
It's really a Gotham.
You were wondering which was going to break first, Bechir's spirit or his body?
But I think that the social contract, the benevolent lie, the lies we tell to keep a society running, is it ever excusable?
Yeah.
Does everyone is the society better if everyone has all the information? At the end of the day, this is something we think about with The Last of Us as well. All right, Dale. Our guy Dale, we've been waiting for Dale, Jeff Hiller's character, to get a really big moment.
Yeah.
I would say we still haven't seen all that Jeff Hiller can do.
No.
But
he got a job.
Run for your life. It's a death trap. It's really good. But this is where I want to talk about an amalgamation of lost references.
I mean, this is just your moment. Can we just get a spotlight in here right on Joe for this?
Well, listen. Okay, so the television series Lost.
Yeah,
which
I've heard of it.
I love to bring up at the drop of a hat. That you binged recently, I think, so that you would be able to understand what the fuck I was talking about.
Just so I could live in your general orbit.
Widow's Bay and Severance and all the other shows are of course, forever inspired by the fact that they go into shelter number 3 was really exciting for me because that means there's shelter number 1 and shelter number 2 elsewhere on the island, theoretically.
Other hatches, other stations.
And this is a thing in Lost is there's the Swan Station, there's the Pearl Station, there's the Flame Station, and there's different information. And so, they've got some pieces of the puzzle here, but are there other pieces of the puzzle in other shelters around the island? That's possible.
Plus now that Dale is just full on, he got a job with the Dharma Initiative, basically.
Right. The reel to reel.
Yeah.
So the reel to reel, we mentioned this, I think, when we saw the VHS video earlier this season, but the reel to reel of so
you're an offering.
So you're a ritual sacrifice. That's so Lost.
Incredibly.
You can't even stand it.
Uncanny.
And I'm thrilled about it.
Yeah.
I love that there's a reel for them, for the sacrifices and for you, the one who's doing the sacrificing.
When I watched this episode at home and I saw the reel come on, I was like, Joe is going to be busting to talk about this episode.
I was so excited. And then I don't think this is a Lost reference, but I thought I'd bring it up anyway. When she's talking about Deirdre, there's this part in season 1 where John Locke is hallucinating Boone in a very drug trippy sort of sequence, and Boone keeps saying, Teresa goes up the stairs, Teresa goes down the stairs. And
now Deirdre goes up the stairs.
Deirdre goes up the stairs, Deirdre goes down the stairs. Anyway, if you Prestige TV at Spotify.com if you spotted other Lost references that we missed.
Could easily be.
But that was just really delightful and delicious to me.
Just a dart in the middle of the board.
I really need a character like Mikhail with an eye patch who can't die. That would be really exciting to me.
Well, PJ Glanville?
Yeah, PJ Glanville.
Could be.
Let's talk about it. The teens. I like that you were talking about sort of the younger the generations get, the more that people think I know everything. Yeah. And I do like that it was the teens who did the most obviously reckless thing inside of, as we're gathering information here and there, of course it's going to be the teens, but is PJ Glanville a cursed demon teen? Did he lure Kelly and Evan into that hatch, or was he for real looking for an escape and a way to smoke some weed?
I'm not even willing to give Kelly that benefit of the doubt. These off-island girls, they are up to no good.
Do you think Kelly is an agent of evil?
I mean, I know we're still a bit away from full-on Odyssey talk, but the level of charm, kiss, coercion that Kelly lays on Evan in this episode, I'm just saying, we're in some I don't know, reverse siren territory. I don't know what's happening exactly, but the two of them.
You're ready for the classics.
I mean, I always am.
Okay.
I am more open than ever to the idea.
Out on fiction, out on musicals.
Well,
in on the classics.
Well, the Odyssey's nonfiction.
Right.
You know,
Right.
famously.
Historical epic. Right.
The whirlpool is real.
Yeah.
PJ Glanville and or Kelly, I mean, they're either mere teenagers, which are a kind of demon, or they're straight up demons.
Yeah, I don't know. It could go either way for me.
Yeah. I suspect that they're actually just teenagers doing a
Probably.
foolish thing.
Yeah.
But
Kelly sat in that chair.
she sat in that chair. PJ doing bits in the chair, that feels believable in a teenage way to me. But locking Kenny in here, poor Kenny.
R.I.P. R.I.P. I should say we get a head count of who's in
We do.
The shelter.
137.
Now it's 136.
You got to sacrifice 8 out of 136. And let's strike that right now. 8 out of 135. Because if you kill Patricia, so help me, there will be hell to pay. Patricia's off the table as far as who we're sacrificing to the island.
Well, I don't even know that everyone was in there. She said everyone was accounted for except for Ruth, but I don't because.
Oh, and I guess we have Tom and Ruth to count in that head count as well.
Right, but Chris and the mean book club girls weren't there, or they didn't want to pay them to be in the episode.
Yeah, I think they're in the background.
Okay, so
somewhere.
you think the entire population of the island is 137 people, and you're also telling me that nobody knew that Shell was pregnant?
I think the entire population of the island is much smaller than 137
because the off-island
a bunch of
girls
them
and
are
douches.
people who are there as tourists.
Yeah. What is the population of Widow's Bay?
I'm
curious.
gonna say under 90. You know,
That's tough,
look,
Rob.
this is a 2-restaurant town, and one of them sucks.
Really tough. How many people were in your graduating class in high school?
1,200 people.
Yeah.
So we were slightly bigger than Widow's Bay, but you know they make them of all sizes. It turns out.
Mm-hmm. It's true. All right. Who knows what and where do we go from here? So, okay, the storm breaks. Do you think Bechir gets back to the shelter and gets Shell on a boat in time that she doesn't give birth on the island, or does she give birth on the island?
Well, let's say this. Clearly, a lot of these things are left hanging so that the writer's room can go any number of directions with season 2. Like, they don't have to make any hard commitments on a bunch of different fronts right now, this one included.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he makes it back in time because Bechir needs to be a critical part of season 2 based on what he both knows and doesn't know.
Oh, right. And if Shell gets off the island, then they're gone.
They're out of there.
They're never coming
Why,
back.
why
You'll
would
never
he
see me
stay?
again.
Why would he stay?
Okay. Our listener Eric said, the point is, like Storm of the Century, a decision will have to be made, one that pits Tom against the entire town. It seems like a neat way to close the season. So, in a
We're
big
not
picture
there
way,
yet.
we're not there yet because everyone doesn't know.
Mm-hmm.
So, Evan knows about the chair and what happened to Kenny.
Yes. More so even than PJ and Kelly do.
And that off-island girl.
They can draw their own conclusions,
Yeah.
but Evan knows.
Okay. And the hatch is still partially open.
Yes.
We know that. Bechir knows Ruth was not the last descendant.
But not who it was.
Tom knows that Evan is the last descendant.
He does indeed.
Dale watched the reel-to-reel. I'm excited to have Dale more centrally in the plot.
Well, actually, let's rewind to Tom for a second, because Tom, I believe, based on the information earlier in the season with Reverend Bryce, he, I think, does know that the bell tolling means trouble, right?
Yes.
But not necessarily exactly what it's called for.
Right. Dale has the mathematical equation.
He
one
does.
bell, one toll the bell, one soul.
Mm-hmm.
Dale does not strike me as a person who is not going to share that information.
Yeah.
At least with Rosemary and Patricia. So they don't know yet, but I feel like the office is going to know something.
It's going to be gossiping.
Okay. The brooch is in the water. Tides come back in, Tom. I'm just going to say that. I
That's
don't know
true.
what information would be gleaned from the brooch washing back up ashore, but tides come back in.
Well, I mean, especially if you originally did believe that this daughter died out in the ocean, then the brooch washing up would be plausible anyway. So I thought it was just kind of putting our brooch watch finally to rest. And
I just think tides come back in.
I think they do come back in. So maybe we will see it again. As far as the brooch itself, clearly that is a tying of a plot thread. We get the reveal that Ruth does have it, as we suspected, that she is among the Warren bloodline. We kind of knew that coming into this week, and so it wasn't a big wow,
Dun,
she's
dun,
got
dun.
the brooch.
Yeah.
To me, it was more like I appreciated the character beat we got over Ruth kind of beaming with pride over this family heirloom, over this
Right,
thing
and
that
Tom-
cursed her to death.
Well, and Tom
almost.
having a concrete reminder of why he was there. Because he was just
Exactly.
sort of softening and sort of easing out of his mission, and then
Yes.
the brooch brought him back with laser focus.
Snap to reality.
8 chimes of the bell at the end. So I'm sending Chris into
hungry.
the hatch. Are you sending anyone else into the hatch?
I already voted for you. I'm sorry.
Not me on the island.
Oh,
not
sorry.
Chris Ryan. And not me.
I mean, I think clearly there's got to be some random townspeople who do not run the hotel and or wait. Oh, what was the name of the waitress who's very bad at her job?
Oh yeah, I don't remember, but sure.
Whoever packed up
Yeah.
that like
Yeah.
the straight piece of meat
I feel like it's Kathy,
And-
but I could be wrong.
and denied Patricia her like coconut cream pie and chicken
right.
parm, that person deserves to be voted into the hatch.
Okay. And who's doing the voting? I mean, like, it depends if the entire sort of like Parks and Rec department
Yeah.
get all the information or not. If it were me, I wouldn't sacrifice any of my coworkers. But if I were in charge of this island and I were Tom and I was trying to keep my son alive, would I not keep luring off-island people and and Sweetie Todding? That's another musical reference.
I'm also
like,
familiar with Sweetie Todd.
Into the pie,
Anything that has been a movie musical, I've seen it. I'm just not out here trying to go to
This
theater.
is why you don't like musicals, because you saw the fucking Johnny Depp Sweeney Todd.
It's actually-
real Sweeney Todd.
It's actually pretty good.
That's not true.
I liked it. Don't like Johnny Depp, but what can I tell you?
But like luring randos
Yeah.
off, they're not one of us, and we'll feed them to the hatch.
But even that would have to be underhanded at a certain point. If the word gets out that when you go to Widow's Bay, you've got an 80% chance of survival, I think that's going to stump tourism a little bit.
Well, listen, if it's the next Martha's Vineyard, who's going to miss 8 people? And we don't know how long the island will sleep after it eats. So,
Yeah, it's going to need a considerable nap to buy Tom some time to lure in more people.
I feel like we're going to feed, like, it could just be like one person per season goes in the hatch.
Could be.
You could like run this for 8 seasons if you wanted
Yeah.
to. But also, here's my bone to pick with the island, among many other things. The
Okay.
evil entity
Yeah.
that is ruling the island.
So you're good with like 90% of what it's doing, but this one thing.
Yeah, as you know, I love terrorizing people.
Yep.
But like, if people die because of the chaos on the island, so like the shaman Todd getting sucked up into the weather event,
Right.
et cetera, whoever the boogeyman killed,
Mhm.
I think it's unfair of the island to not count those
See,
as sacrifices.
I kind of interpreted that it did.
If it was 9 bells early this season and it's 8 now, then only Kenny counts.
Well, maybe it's interest. The VIG. It's like it's a real thing.
I don't think those other random. I think you have to shove the person into the hatch or sit them in the chair in order for it to count.
So if it's just normal day in the life calamity
Yeah.
of boogeyman or
Yeah.
cyclone
Or
or
hag.
sea
Yeah.
hag variety,
Yeah.
you're,
Witch party, sunset cocktail.
I guess that's true because in addition to the guy got sucked up by the cyclone, like also everyone that the boogeyman killed, the EMT who got his like throat sliced or whatever, we're not seeing chimes sloshed off on their account.
And if you go back to Richard Warren, like there was the plague that was killing people, but there was also Richard actively killing people.
That's true. It's a great
You know
point.
what I mean? So like the plague is the island saying, I'm hungry, you fucked up, you haven't fed me,
Yeah.
I'm going to cause a calamity. And Richard's like, if I drag these 5 people down the ladder and down the tunnel into the chair, the plague will stop. Right?
I think that completely adds up. I also like the way that could set up season 2, where I would love to see a little more acceleration in terms of the island's hunger. I don't want it to be just like one person a season. I want to see a version of Tom that has to actively engage in like luring these people to their deaths
Yeah. Well, I
in
don't want
order
it-
to keep this secret.
It's 8. That's a lot of people that he has to feed.
I mean, I want to see him try to pull it off.
You want
know?
like a montage.
I don't want a montage. I want it to be like a Dextery undercurrent of season 2 of like Tom
Let's-
has to live this double life
And
where
find the shitty people on the island.
How
shitty do you have to be? Do you have to just
That's
be
a
that
great
like
question.
shitty off island douche guy who is like, my MRE is moldy, like fuck you?
that guy can probably go.
Do you have to be Chris who's kind of mean, or do you need to be a killer or something like that?
I think Chris is like worthy of a stun gun, perhaps on occasion, but maybe not of sacrifice.
I also like, so I didn't love this part, but in terms of amping up the fear, we see this sort of like cattle call, these offerings in their like underclothes, like tied up with bags on their heads,
Yeah.
like sort of marinating in their fear in order to satiate the island. I mean, this is a thing. If I'm being forced to feed the island, let's say 8 steaks, why do I have to pepper those steaks for the island? Like, it's a numbers game. Why do I have to like
Well, this
make
is
it
a
extra,
service industry.
extra tasty for the island? I don't care if the island enjoys the sauce.
I think
No béarnaise for the island, as far as I'm
Joe,
concerned.
let me tell you, its satisfaction is very important. that seems to be dictating a lot of the terms around here.
But it isn't like I'm spiritually hungry. It's feed me 8 souls, and I'm like, done. I did it.
See, I think you're fulfilling the brief, but not the spirit of the brief.
Okay. To go back to our emails, we did get a lot of emails other than the people saying, "You're so dumb. It's definitely Evan. Why are you so dumb?
Fair enough.
How do you have a podcast?" There is a lot of people wrote in to talk about Tom's drug trip episode. And the fact that at the end of that episode, when he sort of hunched over his own toilet, staring into the abyss,
Yes.
he makes a bargain with God. He thinks, I'll do anything
that's a dark mushroomy god.
to protect my son.
Right.
I will do anything to protect my son. And then, the abyss talks back to him. So has Tom, officially entered into his own Warren pact? Does that matter if, another Lord Protector of the island communes with the abyss? Or it's just a Warren? I mean, all of Tom's descendants are also a Warren descendant anyway, so
Yeah.
I'm not sure it much matters at the end of the day.
Yeah, he's kind of looped in, both
Yeah.
as Lord Protector of the island and looped into the bloodline by marriage.
Right.
I would think this responsibility would fall to him anyway, and he would be kind of tied into this. But I also haven't seen him ink any bodily fluids to parchment yet.
Wow. The options are
limitless.
limitless.
You needed all. You needed 3. I think there were more than I would have liked involved.
All right. Anything else you want to talk about that we haven't? Our listener Matt wrote in, friend of the pod Matt, wrote in to say he had already seen the episode, so he emailed us this earlier in the week. Did you think that Ruth would shuffle off this mortal coil before naming her secret daughter, and that season 2 would launch with Tom and co. using the few clues, e.g. married baby daddy, daughter worked at an ice cream parlor, to ID her? And might you have preferred that to the comparatively expected Evan reveal / conundrum?
Yeah, I think that would have done a bunch of different things. For one, they didn't have to play detective in season 2 to try to piece the clues together.
Right.
It would also lead to that moment of profound regret after killing Ruth to find out the truth that this didn't actually do anything. And this is one of the areas on this episode where I'm a little mixed, and mixed in a way where it's just going to have to wait till season 2 to figure out what to do with it. The idea that they didn't kill Ruth, not that I want Ruth to die, but in a loose end sort of way, because if Ruth is alive, she knows what Tom knows, which is that Evan is her heir and could say that to anybody at any time in a way that could be explosive for the plot. She also presumably knows that Bechir shot her in the back, and I don't know how you just hand wave that away.
How does she know that?
I mean, he's in the room. I guess she never
Does she see
acknowledges him in any way, but she at least knows that she was shot by somebody, no?
I don't know. It depends how that head wound is manifesting. I
It's
have a
very
lot
true.
of questions about that
Yes.
head wound.
But here's the thing. That part of the story and reveal and what's happening with Ruth notwithstanding, the one thing I was really waiting for at the end of this episode that we never quite got was some kind of check-in with Patricia and Wick on the other side of it, right?
Yeah.
These are 2 people who had been lobbying for opposite sides of what to do with Ruth and how she deserves to be treated.
Yeah.
If Ruth doesn't know, Patricia does know. Exactly what happened here. That somebody shot Ruth,
she has
and it was
some
either Tom or Bechir.
She has some information.
Right.
She and Wick have some
Yes.
information, but is Tom going to tell them about Evan? No.
No,
And Tom doesn't know what Dale knows.
it's true.
And Dale doesn't know what Evan knows. And so in terms of putting together the pieces of the puzzle,
There's so many.
we've got plenty of runway in
Yes.
season 2 for that.
And what I was looking for was not a complete clarity from any of these characters, Patricia included,
Yeah.
but an emotional response to this very impulsive decision. And regardless of knowing all the facts, Ruth got shot and you can start putting pieces together. And I would have appreciated some kind of check-in with, and this is kind of my larger consideration with this episode, is Patricia and Wick just don't have a lot to do.
No, but I'm kind of okay. Again, I'm kind of okay with it because Patricia just got her boogeyman. Patricia gets 2 full episodes.
Very true.
To be the star.
Yeah.
Wick got his Jaws episode. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And so they were very central in other episodes, so they took
It's
us
true.
backseat in this episode.
But they're so central. To me, this was almost a moment where Dale gets his absolute shriek, this place is a death trap. And the
Yeah.
physical comedy of that. I mean, the show is, Widow's Bay is lousy with curses, and this show is lousy with amazing physical comedy. I don't want to get rid of that Jeff Hiller moment, but I did have the thought that it was why couldn't this have been Wick in the room? Right? Aren't we more tied to Wick's place into this story? And he's
because
someone
then Wick wouldn't tell anyone.
he wouldn't. I mean, Dale. I guess that's true. It's you need the blabbermouth to find
Yeah.
out the information.
Yeah.
I guess I just want the characters that we've spent more time with to do yet even more.
Well, here's where we agree.
Yeah.
This was a longer episode of Widow's Bay,
Mm-hmm.
and I loved it. All of the episodes of season 2 should be longer. And if this episode were even longer,
Yeah.
then Wick and Patricia would have something more to do than hand out MREs,
True.
etc. So
Moldy MREs at that.
tough, really tough. Cans of water, really tough. Not to be. Wow, that was the. I regret that we're live. Okay, the bite chart.
Yeah.
Before we go, I want to make sure that we mention this so we don't get emails about it. Human bite on the bite chart.
Yep.
Pretty interesting.
I mean, clearly just everything going on in the storm shelter, even before we see the reels. This is not a great place.
The empty gun rack.
The giant red alarm button
Yeah.
is just sitting there waiting to be pushed.
Yeah.
The how to subdue someone instructions on the wall. Yeah, all of the little breadcrumbing that takes us to the eventual "so you're an offering," I thought was really just superb. If you're reading this, I'm already dead.
If you're reading this, I'm already dead. So that was presumably from an offering.
Yeah,
Who was
who was
down
given
there.
the courtesy of a blanket,
Yeah.
and then wrapped it up in the blanket.
Yeah.
That was very, to me, like video game lore, where you're playing a Resident Evil game and you find an abandoned blanket and it has this like note in it that someone
And
has
the thing
hastily
expands
scribbled.
and you can like read the note.
Ugh.
I've played a video game. All right, anything else? I think we did it.
I think we really did it, Joe.
Yeah.
How did you feel about the season overall?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And not only just fantastic, but like the joy of watching it spread and seeing like Guillermo del Toro or anyone else
know.
being like, hey, this is the best fucking thing I've ever seen.
Hideo Kojima speaking
Yeah,
of video
exactly.
games.
Yeah. And then seeing more and more people, people around the office here today where I've been all day. We're eagerly talking about the Widow's Bay finale. And coming off of something like Euphoria, which like felt like a mixed bag in terms of worthy of our attention, and going into something like Cape Fear, which like we're really excited about because it is like bananas, but it's not great. But Widow's Bay is great television, and we're so lucky it exists. And I'm just like, I don't know, I'm just like thrilled that this exists, and tons of people, it feels like tons of people watched it.
Yes.
I don't know if that's real or if I'm in a silo,
I think anecdotally it has become a sensation of a kind.
Yeah.
Like we'll see if the numbers ever get announced as far as how many people are watching this show,
Yeah.
but it is talked about, it is invested in, and I think most rewardingly it is like paid off that investment. It's the kind of show where the deeper you go into it, like the lore is expansive and the theories
Yeah.
are real and validated or sometimes red herringed. Like it just feels like the kind of show that's not just well conceived but well constructed.
Yeah. And I love that, like, what it's done for, like, Kate O'Flynn, who people love as Patricia, like, what this potentially could do for her career.
Yeah.
The, like, Matthew Rhys, the Rhys-a-sance, as you, I get it.
Not to be confused.
With the Rhys-a-sance. And the appreciation for, like, veteran, like, Dale Dickey has been around, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm just... I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled with Widow's Bay. I couldn't be happier. Just make the episodes longer next season. Thank you so much. 12 episodes, an hour long. That's what I want next season.
And we should say
3 people go into the hatch.
as many as we can fit.
Yeah.
I don't think we've officially talked about this on the podcast. We may have mentioned it in passing about this episode, but if you have not caught up on the news, the show's already been renewed for season 2 officially.
Yeah.
Very exciting. Did that affect the way you watched this finale at all, knowing that we were going to get more? Or did the suspicion that we were going to get more already kind of
I felt like
flavor
for
things?
sure we were going to get more. But I think I would have been really bummed if this finale came and A, it wasn't renewed, or B, we didn't know whether or not it was going to be renewed. I think so. Yeah, knowing that we had more to come. I think there's no way Matthew Rhys doesn't win an Emmy. I know you don't give a shit about the Emmys, but like I think there's no way that Matthew Rhys doesn't win an Emmy for Best Lead Actor in a Comedy.
Yeah.
He already has an Emmy for Primetime Drama. That's 2 Emmys for Matthew Rhys. None for Kerry Russell, and that is a crime. So let's even up the award
That's
shelf
a fucking
at the
war crime.
at the Rhys Russell household. She's got her Golden Globe
Yeah.
for Felicity, but like we need to get some Emmy, and I don't know if the Diplomat's gonna do it. Like we need to get some Emmy brass up there for Kerry Russell.
I have fun with the Diplomat,
no,
but
I mean like it's fun, but is it gonna win her the Emmy she deserves? I don't know.
fuck it. Make her the island.
Oh.
Let's bring Kerry Russell into season 2.
I would love Kerry Russell to be season 2 of
Let's
Widow's
do
Bay.
it.
I hope she's her years as Felicity have really primed her for cozy sweaters, and I think
There
she
you go.
just like is born to be here.
Maybe
so.
she is the poor off-island woman to be sacrificed and lured in by Matthew Rhys. His charms clearly not lost on her.
His new love interest, but eventually he has to shove her into the hatch to save his son.
Yeah, what happened to the bachelorette party? We never saw
I
that
think
woman
they
ever again.
Caught a ferry and got the
it's
fuck
fair.
out of there.
She
you
did.
know?
She tried her damnedest to meet
After
Tom
they
where he
all
was.
like walked into the ocean during sunset cocktails, I think they were like, "Bye, we're done."
A brutal time for everybody, but
Let's
what?
cheers our sunset cocktails.
Absolutely. Cheers to us. Cheers to the Sunset Cocktails. Cheers to everybody who's been following along with our pods this season, Joe. This has been an unexpected delight getting to cover this show with you.
Come join us for Cape Fear. It's bananas. It's kind of great.
Yeah.
And kind of terrible, but really kind of great.
This is a great primer, though. Like, if you've been living and dying with every loose end of Widow's Bay,
oh, baby.
come dig in the trash with
Yeah.
us. We're just like dumpster diving on Cape Fear.
Come raccoon it up with us this summer. You know?
It's just going to be a little grosser and a little more seedy,
Yeah.
but I think it will reward your obsession in a totally different kind of way.
I really agree. Thank you to Kai Grady. Thanks to Devon Renaldo. Thanks
Always.
to Jacob Cornett. Everyone's here pulling a late shift at the office. We really appreciate you. Thanks to everyone who tuned in live.
Yeah.
Thanks to you if you're catching up later.
Thank you to the Demon Teens.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you to Ruth's Thriving Social Calendar.
Absolutely. Thank you to Herbal Tea.
Of course.
I'm a big peppermint tea fan, so I love that it's a fast steep.
Chamomile, get
Yeah,
lost.
Camille, get the fuck out of here. All right, we'll see you soon. Bye.